I'm Montay Lee. This is Talking to Addict. We're going to have a conversation today about me. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time. I got so much to say in such little time.
It's a mess in this attic. Lot going on, but there ain't no need to panic. Come on up and join. We getting wild, getting manic. Spitting truth for all you fanatics. Every week got something new to say. Ain't no filter, this shit coming straight from the brain.
240.
240.
You wear 240 better than I do.
Yeah, so like when I was working out all the time, I was at 230, 235. But I don't mind being 240. I'm 6'5", 240. So that's different than, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm here with Montay Lee. We already have his stats. 6'5", 240. You're probably the most physically imposing character I've had on the show so far.
Awesome. I'm glad to be that.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. So why I'm not going to say why. We know why. Everyone's got a story. Everyone's got value. But what are we going to talk about today? Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, me, I grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, born and raised. Was always somebody that was into sports, into having a good time, into, being jovial with people.
Good time, Charlie. But you were serious. Were you serious in school, even as a kid? And
serious in school? No, I've always been somebody that's like very observant, and I've always had a lot of friends. But I wouldn't say I was the popular kid in school. I was just a kid that, everybody knew, and I was in the chess club.
Oh, yeah.
In high school, loved chess, loved to
You still play?
I don't have anybody to play with. If I did, I would play. I love to cook. I love food. I love to have a good time. I love to dance when there's some good music on.
That's where you and I kind of first started running into each other a lot. We'd always see each other dancing out at the club.
Yeah, man, just good times, good vibes. Life's too short to be all serious.
For sure.
That's
But your job is pretty serious.
You could say that, yeah. So I'm a probation officer, so here in the state of Michigan, Grand Rapids, and the way I got into that, I actually went to Kuiper College. So it's a small Christian college.
Right here in GR?
Yep, right here in GR. And I went into the social work program, and I ended up doing my internship at the court that I'm working at now. But I got into that just because growing up where I grew up, inner city, Grand Rapids, I seen a lot of things as a young person. I seen a lot of people who didn't have that much direction. And when I went into the probation department and I saw the opportunity to help people who, pardon my French, who looked like me, I seen a lot of, young black people who just kind of needed some guidance. And I was just like, you know what? I could be that person that could relate to them.
For sure.
And, I think the message would be better heard if it's from somebody that looks like you. So from that point on, I feel like it suited me well to be in that role as a probation officer.
And you've been in that for how long now?
So,
including your internship year.
Internship started in 2013.
Oh, so you've been at it for
about
7-8
years.
Yeah.
In, probation and supervision, and it's been a good ride, and I enjoy it every day. Like literally, like people talk about their job and what they do, and I really don't feel like it's a job. Like, I look forward to going to work. I look forward to, being somebody that's going to hopefully do something, be that person that actually helps somebody in their life in a tough time. Because I see people in their worst at times,
Yeah, so in these cases, I mean, when your day-to-day is talking with what is your caseload? Like, what is a person that's part of your caseload called?
Oh, we call them defendants.
A defendant. So,
yeah.
So it's typically post-conviction.
Yeah, usually, or most of the time it's post-conviction. So I do supervisions a lot. So that's like you're supervising somebody who's already been sentenced by the judge. But I also do pre-sentence investigations.
Oh.
That's when somebody pleads guilty. The judge orders a PSI, and then I do an investigation before they're sentenced to get, for instance, if it's a drunk driving case, to get their version of what happened. If they crashed into somebody, you got to reach out to the victim to see if they were hurt if they were hurt, did they have to pay anything out of pocket due to those injuries?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, you got to get all that information and put it all together in a report, along with supervising the person during all that in between time to see if they can follow directions, if they can, comply with the court's obligations,
Right.
and if this person would be appropriate for whatever their recommendation for sentencing would be, whether that be jail,
Right.
whether that be probation, because people don't realize that probation is an alternative to jail.
Right.
So during that whole time, I'm like monitoring, and then eventually I'll put together a report, a pre-sentence report that the judge will review, so the judge can make a more informed,
Right.
judgment when it comes to sentencing.
So does that include a sentencing recommendation from you? Duration usually?
Yes, usually it's a recommendation, and that's exactly what it is. It's a recommendation. The judge is going to make the final call, but
Right.
they're basically employing us at that time to do that work beforehand, so they're not making a judgment blindly.
Right.
They want to know more about the person before they make that decision that could affect their
But they
life.
don't have the time to do the interviews themselves. They have other
Exactly.
responsibilities.
That's what we're there for, to investigate.
So then you work pretty closely with the prosecution team then, like on a day-to-day basis, or are you separate from them, or how do they keep those in silos,
We're separate from them, but we do have conversations. We'll ask them questions about like the charge, and
Right.
we need more information, but it's completely different sides of like once it gets to us, they've already pled guilty to the charge or whatever, and then it's on us to pretty much work for the judge so they have the information so we can move forward with the case.
That's interesting. So do you ever see whether anything that you don't want to talk about, just say you want to decline.
Yeah,
That's
for
cool,
sure. I will.
Yeah, of course. So, do you ever see like certain, like not even certain judges, but does it ever happen where something is so lopsided, like your recommendation is here and the sentence is over here, and does it ever make you wonder like what's going on here?
That does happen from time to time, but it rarely does, because usually during the pre-sentence investigation process, when I'm talking to the person, when a probation officer is talking to the person, we also do a criminal background check to check their entire criminal history.
Mm-hmm.
If it's somebody that has no prior offenses, no prior convictions, they're going to get a lighter sentence, more likely than not, no jail, probation.
Right.
Usually. But if
Right.
a person has 4 or 5 felonies, multiple violent convictions, multiple drunk driving convictions, that person's more likely than not going to get, jail
Right.
or something that's more stiff because of that history. So it's not cut and dry. It's not cookie cutter. It's based on all of those different factors, and that kind of allows you to have a template, like a baseline to go from. Like, hey, this is consistent with somebody that has this, this, and this.
Right.
So I try to be fair with my recommendations in that way, taking all of those things into account. Also, does the person have any remorse for what they've done? I take that into effect too.
That's part of the interviewing process.
Exactly. Seeing
Yeah.
if the person is actually taking ownership for what they did,
Of course.
and are not going to continue that behavior and are willing to go to counseling, treatment, things like that, rather than saying just blowing it off. If you blow it off, that's going to be taken into account.
Yeah, that means you haven't really learned.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is some discretion on your side of it though too.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of discretion. One thing I like a lot about the role, we get discretion. We have great supervisors who allow us to ask. I have great supervisors who allows me to ask them questions if it's something that I'm not sure about. But for the most part, I'm working. They trust me to do what I'm gonna do, and I take all of those things into account. I try to be as fair as possible.
Of course.
Like if I see anybody that I've had or something like that on probation or whatever, I hope that when they see me or somebody asks how I treated them fairly and with respect. That's
Right.
what I always try to do.
And you probably get good results from your defendants for that reason.
For the most part, yeah. I feel like with anybody in any, walk of life or whatever, if you treat somebody with respect, it's usually mirrored and you get that same thing back. And if I don't, like if I'm talking to somebody and then I'm talking to them just normally in a respectful tone and stuff, and then they lash back at me, it's not my first thing to go back at them with that, because usually that just means that there's something else underlying there. That's usually, and it's just like, it's my job to de-escalate. I feel like a lot of my job, that's what I'm doing. I'm de-escalating. I'm trying to get to what's going on underneath that anger, that fear, and stuff like that. Because
Right.
I do have a social work background.
Yeah, that's
and
you're
that's
speaking
what
like a social worker.
and
Yeah.
that's what a lot of it is. So that's why I like the role of probation officer. Because yes, I do investigations, but I'm also a case manager
Right.
because I supervise people too. So it's like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And that background of social work helps a lot because you deal with a lot of people who you get lied to a lot,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and you learn how to read those things. But when you really peel back the onion and the layers behind all this, it's a lot of hurt.
Of course.
People who have been in really, difficult, situations in their life. So I'm trying to guide them through that to light.
Yeah,
pretty
man.
much. Best I can.
That's really cool. That's when Jessica and I first met you a couple years back. We were always we had a similar conversation about why you're into it, and so that was always that was always one of the reasons why I want to get you on here because
dope.
I think in light of all the conversation about policing in America and the racial part, like who better to talk to than someone that's really not a cop,
Yep.
but you're working with them.
Yep.
You're black, obviously, but you're also not. You have a compassion for the defendants as well.
Yeah.
Right, because you really are the middle person. And what is your reaction to all that stuff that's going on? You know what I mean? Like, how do you are in a unique position, right? Or a unique perspective for it.
Yeah, it's a unique perspective because I'm not a cop, but I read a lot of the reports and things, and I can see, I see both sides of it, and I
Right.
see a lot of the things that have gone on. It's interesting to have that perspective. Okay, and me myself, I've had situations when I was in college. I had a situation where I was driving to a buddy's house after going to the mall. I went to the mall and I got like a Surf City squeeze, like a smoothie.
It's like the most innocent shit ever.
Yeah, I got a smoothie or whatever. And then I was driving to my buddy's to go like play video games in Holland or whatever. And I got stopped by a cop on my way, to his house. And the cop stopped me. For what reason, I don't know. It was daylight. And then he said it was for a tail light that had a plate that was, no, the license plate said that the light was out, but it was daylight. So it stopped me, the whole shindig or whatever. Said he smelled something on my breath, and I was like, what?
Surf City squeeze.
I was like, what? And then he breathalyzed me. Actually breathalyzed me. It was all zeros.
Yeah.
Because it was just a smoothie. But like that's one of the situations that I had in my life where I've experienced that as a black person. And I can understand and relate to somebody who gets stopped, more often than somebody that doesn't look like me.
It's unconstitutional to pull someone over for no reason and give them a breathalyzer.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it, right?
But we also got to realize and notice that people do have preconceived notions, preconceived biases. It's a natural thing.
Yeah.
But I think when we can get past the white versus black thing, the you versus them thing, and we can get more to just understanding where the other person is at, a lot of the cops who are out there and protecting and serving, doing the right thing, a lot of them just can't relate to somebody that looks like me because you live in a neighborhood where you've never really been around people who look at me like me. So how can you,
feel as comfortable or yeah.
I believe that there's some growth there that can happen on both sides to help quell some of those tensions. And anytime I walk past an officer, I always say, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
No matter, because that's not an easy job.
No.
A lot of the times, if you're a cop, you're going into a situation on somebody's worst day.
With mental illness and substance abuse and all of that. Yeah.
Calls about somebody got a gun, here or that.
Right.
After a while, it takes your toll on you, you would think. And
of course.
I bet you most of the cops that are riding around, they are suffering from some kind of like PTSD.
For sure.
And I think there's been studies that shown that. I don't have the source right off the bat.
Right.
But there is something going on in regards to that that I think needs to be delved into more. But overall, I'm kind of going on a tangent.
I like what you're saying.
Overall, I do believe that there has been some progress made just by the intense media coverage that has gone through with the whole Black Lives Matter lifestyle.
Yes.
I'm not going to say movement.
Right.
I'm not going to say movement because that's something that comes and goes. I can't change. I can't stop being black.
Right.
I'm going to be black when I leave here.
Yep.
It's always going to be there. And I feel like if we can get to a place as a culture of empathy, of realizing this is my plight, this is what I deal with as a black man moving through the world, just because as a black person I want to see equal treatment doesn't mean it diminishes any other person's treatment.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if you're going to treat a fellow man with dignity and respect, it's only going to help everybody at the end of the day.
Right.
You know, without getting too political, like that's kind of my stance on the whole thing.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
pretty
feel
just
like there needs
classic.
to be some empathy
Yeah.
on both sides for the situations that people deal with. Because I couldn't imagine being a white cop going and policing a black neighborhood. Everybody's fearful of you for the most part, scared because they've experienced some kind of, you know,
Through some bad
brutality
apple.
or something from a bad apple, not
Right.
the majority.
Right.
Literally like 96%, 97% of the cops who are out there, I believe, are doing the right thing, doing their job. But a couple of bad actors can really, you know, taint your image.
Right.
So I don't want to feel like I'm bashing the police.
No,
I'm
of course not. Of course not. Yeah.
But I think if the community overall realizes that is a tough job and commend the officers who are doing the right thing, you know, if one of their fellow officers is treating somebody poorly, actually stepping in and not getting condemned. Because I've seen these stories and heard these stories about, there was a cop who, she did that. She was in New York. I don't got her name right now, but she stepped in and helped. Like somebody was getting abused. Like a black person was getting abused by one of her,
By another cop.
her like partner who had multiple complaints.
Yeah. He was a
of
bad apple.
doing that. Yeah, of like, you know, roughing people up. She stepped in, and then she got reprimanded for it. And after litigation and stuff going through with the union and everything, the police unions are so powerful.
Right.
She ended up getting fired. And it was like a couple of years before she got her pension.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like they get their pension at like 25. She was at like 21, and she still hasn't got her pension to this day. I don't have the name right off the bat, but things like that, like that can't happen.
No, right. Yeah.
Somebody does like the right thing and stands
Yeah.
in line and, you know,
Right.
checks somebody who is abusing somebody. We got to protect the officers who are doing the right things.
I mean, I feel like as someone that has really no real standing here as a non-cop and as a white guy, you know, like I feel like on the cop side, there's kind of this code of silence, right? In a lot of cases, not cop bashing. I agree that most people are good. Now, in some of those big cities, there have been wild corruption going on at times, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like that's the case here. It doesn't feel like that.
I've had all good interactions for the most part.
Yeah, including professionally, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And so, but I feel like there's still that code of silence, kind of like there is a lot of you don't tell why because someone does and you don't get your pension now. So you kind of, but then on the other side, on the community side, there's also kind of this staunch position of anti all cops, you know, in some particular cases. And again, that's a black and white. I don't mean racially, but a black and white binary way to look at things. You can't always be silent. You can't always be against the cops. We have to look at these things on a case by case basis.
Absolutely.
But if it always comes down to empathy and respect, there's no way we can lose in that with that recipe, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I feel like we've gotten away from that as well. I say we, like the culture, like
The people, all of
America
us, yeah.
in general, of just I'm right, you're wrong, left, right, no. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's no real conversation.
And eventually it gets to a point where it's just like the truth is not anywhere, you know, to be found. You know, empathy and the gray area is nowhere to be found. And I always harken back to like so many times when you have conversations, or what I've seen, I don't even get involved in a lot of the political stuff that happens on like Facebook and all that. But
yeah, it's
a
best to
lot
stay
of
away
times
from
what
it.
you see is people are not listening. They see a comment or they see somebody's viewpoint and they're automatically got their response. They're not listening to comprehend.
Right.
They're not digesting the information. If it doesn't fit what their viewpoint is on both sides, it's automatically, this is how I respond to that. Rather than trying to, I feel like you can have a way better conversation with somebody by having a conversation with somebody who doesn't agree with exactly what you mean. Like, doesn't have the same viewpoints as you. I don't want to talk to people who have the same viewpoints as me all the time. What's the fun in that?
You might as well just be alone at that
I
point.
want to learn. If somebody has a different viewpoint than me, I like to ask, why do you think that way?
Yeah, not in a challenging way. Just like
Exactly.
you want to
Like,
know.
Oh, I want to know. Like, oh, because I've never experienced that. Okay, so let's delve deeper into that. I feel like if you listen to comprehend rather than just quick wit it with your response, we can go so much further.
Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, of course. It's like you see that all over the place, even like in day-to-day conversations, actual physical conversations. It started on Facebook, right? Because when you're behind the anonymity of the internet, even though your name is out there on it, a lot of times you're still protected by all the space, and like you're not going to see the person's face that you're hurting.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to hurt someone's feelings to their face.
Yeah,
a lot harder than on a keyboard.
And it's a lot of people that got the Meek Mill Twitter fingers. They really spicy and stuff when it's, they behind the egg on Twitter. But if it's half of those things that you're saying, you would never say that to somebody in real life.
Of course not. But now I feel like that is spilling over, where now even there's less civility in face-to-face interactions. I mean, this political stuff is a great example of families breaking up over it. Like people not talking to their families anymore and stuff over politics.
Which is weird.
It's crazy.
Because when I think about it too like this, how often has real politics affected your life?
Real politics that affect your life are the ones down at City Hall that you're involved with. That's what matters. Not who's in the White House doesn't really affect you.
Yeah, local elections.
Right.
But that all gets mixed up because for some reason, they're just not passing the $1.9 trillion stimulus. They've been talking about that for like
a year,
5 months.
Yeah.
Like just just since the election just passed.
Right.
They have control of the Senate. The Democrats have control of the Senate.
Right.
And it still took months.
And now the output is like what most of these like countries around the world get per month. I mean, anyway, automatically, and I'm not saying that it should be giving away money. I'm not a big fan of that either.
Yeah.
But it's just like, all this time to finally get $1,400 for some people?
Yeah.
But
my thing is just like, what are they really doing there in those positions? They get paid a lot of money to like just go through a lot of jargon and all types of different systems and processes and stuff. If we can get to a way to cut through all of that malarkey and say, hey, let's come to the table. What do we need to get done to get, we're not going to agree to everything, but we need to fix this economy. What is the best way to do this? Does that need to take 2 months to agree to something?
That's what's crazy. Don't you feel like it's a matter of kind of not... It's hard to pick steps of an action plan or whatever if we don't have a common understanding of where we want to go. Obviously it would help to believe where we're at, or to understand that where we're at together. Those are two separate right now.
Yeah.
Like me and you think one thing, I think one thing, you think one thing. The left thinks one side, the right thinks one side. We can't even disagree on where we're at. And how are we going to move forward if we don't agree where we're at? And then, of course, the bigger picture is where are we going to end up at? And, if we can't agree on those, how are we going to agree on an action plan?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a multifaceted discussion and topic that has so many different layers.
We're not going to solve it.
We could cover it in the attic. It's no way we can, conquer that in the attic.
We would need textbooks and a staff of at least 100 researchers, and
that's just insane. Like when I was younger, I always would just think about things like, I always thought, I don't know if you ever had this thought, like, why is there money? I remember I asked my mom one time, like, well, I feel like that's like causing a lot of problems. Why do we even have money? You know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes I harken back and feel myself being that kid again and be like, why do we have senators if they don't get anything done?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
At the end of the day, like there's something with that, the stalemate and all of the different things that came over. Like, let's reform that in a way where we can actually have actual legislation. I don't care what passes. Let's just get more things passed.
It's got to be moving. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
It's all these stall tactics and filibusters and all this like procedural nonsense.
Yeah, so I stopped watching the news recently, man, after the political cycle. I just couldn't take it anymore.
But I feel like you have the makeup. You have the background now too with being a probation officer. You should be a local politician, honestly. Not that you'd want to be, but you would be good, man. You'd be good for the same reason you'd be a good probation officer.
Oh, man.
You would be a good mouthpiece for an underrepresented community.
That might be true in so many ways, but I feel like being a politician in a way that I would want to be would probably lead to like cancel culture.
Yeah.
In some type of way, because I feel like once you get into that realm, people start throwing money at you in all different types of ways. And then you kind of gotta eventually, like you say, this is what I want to do. You know, I want to like raise minimum wage or whatever.
Whatever your
And
stance is.
whatever your stance is, you know, and eventually people chip away at it in so many ways and say, well, like, no, instead of having to be 15, why don't we go to 14?
And then I'll let you do this, though.
And then I'll give you this sponsorship. Before you know it, you're back down to 11.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's a lot of like political maneuvering. I don't know how well I would do with that.
He'd be driving a Rolls
Honestly, 'cause
Royce.
I would just be like, I just wanted to raise the minimum wage. You know what I mean? And now, you know, I'm promoting super PACs and all of this. And you know what I mean? The minimum wage is 50 cents more than what you guys originally had.
Like that. We voted Montay Lee and he actually dropped minimum wage and now he's driving a Rolls Royce.
Exactly. And now I'm speaking from a teleprompter during all of my, you know, like, ain't nothing worse than that.
Well, I already know.
Speeches.
I already know that you're not going to fall victim to that because let's talk about your creative endeavors. And so this is more than creative endeavors. You're super into fitness. We'll talk about that. You're also, you've started your own podcast called Karat Juice. That's spelled like
Juice.
Diamond Carrot.
Yeah.
I like that.
Absolutely.
I like that. It's a good logo. It's cool. We'll talk about that. But in the capacity of you becoming a politician and end up being a sellout or whatever could happen.
Yeah.
You haven't been a sellout with your fitness stuff, right? We talked about this before we started recording. So how do you manage? You have a business. Tell a little bit about your fitness part of it and like the videos that you created and all that. And then let's talk about how is that something that you want to monetize? What is the passion behind that? What is all that?
Yeah. So I want to say about 2 years ago, I had always been into fitness for the most part. Like,
well, you played basketball in college.
Yep. Played basketball in college at Kuiper. I was an undersized big man. I'm 6'5" and a half with shoes on. And I played center, you know, and I was undersized, but I worked hard and I played hard. And I always have been into, you know, that competitive nature of things. So I took that mentality that I had playing college basketball and I just threw that into my fitness because for me, the fitness side of things, it's not a physical thing for me. It's more a mental thing for me. It literally is my therapy. When I go in there, I just feel, you know, a sense of it's like meditation for me. So I did that for years after graduating from college in 2014. And then 2 years ago, I decided to start my lifestyle brand, Natty Fits, and that stands for natural fitness. And pretty much my whole goal with that, it wasn't to monetize it or make any money. I just wanted to show people what I was doing and what I have been doing for years and how it's affected my life and helped me to be, you know, the person that I am now.
Yeah.
And it's really tied to and around just taking care of yourself each and every day and not cutting any corners with anything. Like natural fitness means like I cook my own meals for the most part. I don't take any supplements, never have, because first of all, when I first started, money wasn't growing on trees and those supplements are expensive.
Right. Yeah. You had you were natural by requirement at the beginning.
Man, when I first got into the weightlifting stuff, I never liked the way people looked when they took that stuff. They look kind of puffy. Yeah. Like their muscles, like you wouldn't see any veins. They would just kind of look like Johnny Bravo, you know, no veins on their arms, but they're super big. And I was like, I don't want to look like that. And I think it's something to do with either the creatine or the whey protein. It like adds water, like a water layer in between your muscle and your skin. So I never wanted to get to that. And first of all, couldn't afford it. Went into GNC. And some of the stuff that the guy was trying to push me, they always try to push you like the really good stuff that has this amino, this
the most expensive
that,
shit at the time,
a minute of that and all that, and then it was like $90 for like a thing, and I was just like, no, I'm just gonna eat some chicken and rice and broccoli. So that's what I kept doing, and what I realized is most of that stuff is bullshit, dude.
Yeah,
like it might help like somebody if you're trying to be a bodybuilder, but I wasn't trying to be a bodybuilder.
I feel like for most people, including for myself, it's like a device it's like an investment in yourself. So then you're like, well, I did buy those pills. I better start working out now. It's almost like that. But once that value's gone, it's like.
But I honestly feel like it's placebo.
It is, dude. They put a little nitrous shit in there so that you get that nitric oxide shit. So you get like that flush feeling. You know what I'm talking about?
But a lot of them have caffeine in it. So, excuse me, literally. You could just drink some coffee. So that's what I would do. I would literally drink some coffee before working out. And then I got into posting all of these videos on Instagram that's showing like how to do the workouts, because so many people do things the wrong way.
Yeah.
Just from misinformation out there. Or the best thing ever, all the freaking ego lifters that go to the gym and they haven't been there in like, a couple of months, but they're trying to deadlift 250 like a jackass. Come on.
Yeah.
You don't do that. Like, the main thing that I always stress like through all of my content is just be realistic about where you are. Start at a very comfortable weight, something that you can actually manage, and build yourself up. Right. So the process of the Natty Fits whole thing, it wasn't about trying to bulk up and get super huge fast. It's sustainable. It's something that you can consistently do. And if you consistently do it every week, work out 5 days a week, you would get natural, lean muscle that you would keep. Literally, during the pandemic, I didn't work out for like, when the gyms were closed here in Michigan, I didn't work out for like 6 months.
That's kind of you had to be pulling your hair out.
Yeah.
Well, you actually did pull your hair out.
Yeah, it was crazy. I cut it. Buzzed it off myself. It was crazy because I didn't have that mental outlet to do what I wanted to do, but I didn't lose that much muscle mass at all.
Yeah, because it's like true real muscle.
It was real muscle, and that's one thing I noticed. People will look at me and be like, "You're not working out." It's like, no, I got a little bit of a belly because I was eating some snacks. Who hasn't? But that's one thing I really believed in. I believe that it's something about doing it naturally and getting it gradually that you will keep it, and you like, I earned this. I didn't just like buy it, off the shelf. Because who wants to get that big? Really? Like, you can't even wipe your butt, man.
I know.
If you're too big. Like, I think, like, my goal for the whole working out thing and stuff is to get, like, tight end in the NFL, like, the best I can, LeBron James type of deal.
Such a low standard.
But he's not like LeBron James is, well, I'm tall too though, but LeBron James is,
was he 260?
He can still move. He's 6'9" though.
He's 260, right? Or so?
Yeah, 6'9", 260. I'm 6'5", 240.
You're about the same as him anyway. Really.
I want to be able to move and be functional, because every once in a while you still got to be able to dance if you go out.
Come on, yeah.
You can't just be be like too big. That wasn't my goal, not bodybuilding.
That's why I quit working out, guys. I was just getting too strong.
So yeah, that's kind of like how I got into the Natty Fits thing, and I really enjoyed.
I liked your content on that, yeah.
Yeah, it was fun, man.
Yeah.
It was a good time. I didn't take myself too seriously with it, and I got a lot of people reaching out with questions and stuff like that. So I was able to like scratch that itch of just helping people feel better, because it's my mental, therapy.
And because of your interest in it, you're an expert on it, and you're also an influential guy just because of your positivity and the way you handle yourself. And so we want to see stuff from you. People look to you, even friends and people that don't know you probably look to you more often than other friends because of the type of guy you are.
Yeah.
So why not share, right?
Yeah, I get that a lot. And I think it's something about seeing it from somebody that that's in the community and saying like, oh, I can see that he's doing it, rather than some like, person that's got all the money in the world to be able to get like all these crazy trainers and all that. Like, newsflash, people, the people that you see on Instagram for the most part that got like the 10-pack abs and everything like that, they had those before the fat burning protein thing. Just so you know, it's not like
they just got a little chubby for the before picture.
And anybody that's trying to tell you that you can get like a spot like, remove your love handles or remove your abs,
just one
like
particular
remove
area.
The belly fat. It's impossible. You cannot remove belly fat from spot training or a certain type of supplement. You have to get rid of it through your diet, caloric deficit, and working out, moving your butt. That's the only way you can get rid of it. Anybody else that's saying anything else it's not real.
Well, it's also nice too because, like, for instance, you came here tonight and I asked you what you wanted. You got pizza. Mm-hmm. You didn't like crush about the pizza. Mm-hmm. But like that kind of is helpful too, to say like, okay, it's not like you're some maniacal guy only eating broccoli nine times a week and like that's all you're gonna have and
Absolutely.
Like,
dude. What is the point in working out all the time if you can't eat good shit?
That's why you work out.
Exactly. I eat good. Like I work out a lot so I can eat. I'm a foodie. I love food.
Talk about that.
Dude, I love food. I love to cook. I was the weird kid growing up who I used to watch the Food Network for fun.
Have you ever been to Flavortown?
I haven't. What's that?
I don't know. That's a Guy Fieri's motion.
Dine-ins and drives, right?
Yeah, he's always going to Flavortown.
Exactly. But I love that type of food, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like diners and stuff and like that. Really good diner that's here in GR. Schnitz Deli.
Oh, yeah. The one on Fulton right here?
Yeah. The Big John. one of the best sandwiches
I've never gotten it. What is it?
It's like a Philly cheesesteak, but it has like caramelized onions in it with the provolone with bacon.
Kind of like the old Big John steak and onion. Have you ever had one of those? That was an old restaurant. We had one out on Bay City, second area.
Dude. But it's like 2 meals. For me, it's one. But for the normal human being, it's 2 meals.
For someone that's not going to go work out for 2 hours after they eat it.
Absolutely.
It's 2 meals. Okay.
Absolutely. But where was that? Oh, food.
Food in general.
So I used to watch like Emeril Lagasse on Food Network. I really got into just like watching recipes and stuff. So growing up, I started cooking meals for our household because I used to do it so good. Like when I was like 11 or 12. And it's just...
What is the dynamic of your household? How many siblings, parents? What is the situation?
Well, my mom and my dad got divorced when I was like 2 or 3, but they're both in my life.
Yeah, that's cool.
My dad's still in my life. Great. He got remarried. But I have 2 brothers, 3 sisters.
Where are you in there? In the middle?
I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
So I started cooking for everybody. Everybody started loving the food.
Bam!
I used to love I love to make tacos, American tacos for the most part at that point, which is like the ground beef,
Yeah.
yellow corn shell tortillas, lettuce, green, red, yellow peppers, onion.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Sour cream. I would make my own guac, and then if you haven't had it, have your nachos with Doritos.
Oh, wow.
So you take the spicy nacho Doritos or the nacho cheese Doritos, then you put your ground beef and, with the ground beef too. You got to strain your ground beef, people. Public service announcement. If anybody cooks you some tacos and then they cook up the beef, right? And you know how it has the different lean properties, like where it's like 70% to 30% stuff?
Yes.
Sometimes people will cook that, forget to strain it, and then put in the sauce or whatever, and then you're eating a grease taco.
Yes.
That's the reason why. Strain it after you brown it. Okay, public service announcement.
Finally.
Yes, you have to do that.
Real talk.
You do that, you put your meat down there, you put all your condiments, everything, sharp cheddar cheese, drizzle it over, toast it. Do not put it in the microwave. Toast it in the oven, so then your chips are still crispy. Montay special for the nachos.
Do you put on broil? You put it on low broil, or what do? You put it...
I just put on like 350, 375 for a couple of minutes.
Cover it with foil?
No.
Okay. Folks, we're going to take a break right now. But I just want to remind you that it's only in the attic, and only on this podcast I talk in the attic, where someone could be preaching fitness and then just moments later talking about a Dorito taco or Dorito nachos.
Dorito nachos, baby.
So don't say that there's no variation here. We'll be right back.
Till it ain't, things will never be the same, never be the same again. Everything's so strange.
All right, here we are. We're back. Awesome. That was Thundercat.
Yes.
That was Thundercat, dude.
Yes.
I love it. What kind of music do you listen to in general?
I'm a very soulful, chill guy. Thundercat, Dragon Ball Durag, one of my favorite songs.
What's the one that we just listened to? What's the second one that you told me?
Oh, Fair Chance.
Yeah.
Fair Chance with Ty Dolla $ign.
Ty Dolla $ign's got a new album. It's good.
That's my guy. I haven't heard no, is that the featuring one?
Well, I don't know. I saw him on Tiny Desk concert. He was playing new songs.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Death? That is sweet. Yeah. So I like people like that. Ty Dolla $ign. I listen to rap, right? I listen to R&B. But I really like the artists that are in between there. Like, to me, Ty Dolla $ign. Yes, I was just going to say him. His song, Sweet Chick.
Okay, I got me a sweet bitch. So I'm headed to NY just to be up in it. Off of Rivington, we fucking us some sweet chick. She go vegan on the weekends. Hell nah.
I don't think I know
He's
that
talking
song.
about all the different girls that he knows.
I love him.
Sweet chick.
Oh, yeah.
You got to check out that one.
He's one of my faves, dude.
I like the artist. Like, Ty Dolla $ign is not a singer. He's not a rapper. He's in between. Same thing.
Kid Cudi?
Yes. The new one I haven't listened to that much, though. Do you like it?
Generally, the only one I've really listened to so far was the one with Eminem, where it's like the Moon Man and Slim Shady. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool song.
Yeah, let my nuts hang. Knock a top off like LeBron or Dwayne Wade. All lift off. Can't let a nigga grow. Better get gone. Move along.
But Man on the Moon, like the first Man on the Moon, Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh my god!
Like,
I have so many memories of dancing with you. They played Pursuit of Happiness at Eve every Friday night, like without
Dude,
fail. I remember dancing to you, like with that. There was like that EDM version of it too. That had like that really like wubby.
Like anytime you hear that, like people talk about music and how it like makes you like travel through time and like the nostalgia and stuff. Anytime I hear that, it just like takes me back. I get like goosebumps.
What do you picture doing? Mic and drills in the gym?
Crush a bit, little bit, roll it up, take a hit, feeling lit, feeling right. 2 a.m. summer night, I don't care. Hand on the wheel, driving drunk, I'm doing my thing, rolling the mid beside and now, living my life, getting our dreams.
No, it just makes me feel good. It just makes me. It's just a happy. Like anytime somebody plays that in a public gathering or whatever, everybody just looks around. Everybody starts bouncing up and down, and everybody just gets happy.
Hell yeah!
It's a very happy. That's the type of music I like.
Me too.
I like that. Future
Yep.
is dope.
I love his sandals.
Those sandals, man.
So Karat Juice, your
Yes.
first episode, you gave a little intro on yourself, which was great, folks. Go to the show notes; you'll see links to Montay's podcast called Karat Juice. I don't know by the time this drops, you'll have 5 or 6 episodes out probably by then.
Yeah, most likely.
But whatever the case, check them out. But on your first episode, you talked about Future. So talk about this story. I didn't know about this.
Oh yeah, so. As I usually do, I was perusing, the news. I got to check my. I don't know. I have a guilty pleasure. I like to see what's going on in the world, and I scrolled past an article that talked about Future buying some sandals, and the caveat to this is these sandals are made of they're Birkenstocks, right? Everybody's seen girls walk around with Birkenstocks, right?
They're $120 out the door.
I really like when a girl wears some Birkenstocks though, especially if she's curvy with some leg. It's something about it. I really like it. But these weren't those. Okay. He bought some Birkenstocks that were made out of actual Birkin bags.
Which is BERK. Isn't it?
Birkins, or is it BIR?
Well, there's whatever, it's the opposite, isn't it opposite? It's not the same spelling as Birkenstock.
I obviously don't know about it because I ain't never been anywhere near the store. It's not my life.
Rockstar chain all the way to the floor, dog.
Well, when you explain the construction of it, it obviously became obvious where the price came from. Like,
exactly.
So they're $48,000.
Yes.
Right?
And that's on that's the mid tier. They got ones that are higher than this.
But then when you explain the construction of it, you said it's basically a standard Birkenstock foot.
Yeah, sole.
And then what do they? So what is that?
So they like literally cut out the molding of where his feet will like sit with actual Birkin bag material.
That was already created into a Birkin bag, though.
Yeah,
they
so
said
it's just
specifically
like
they deconstructed it.
Yeah.
That's so silly. Like they could have just gotten the material from the jump. Like the only reason it's that expensive is because they're paying people to like deconstruct an expensive bag.
But my only thing is like, what is it about the Birkin? Because the leather is not like, okay, the leather might be amazing, but it's no.
It's leather still.
Even if it is quality leather, I'm pretty sure the same leather that's in your couch or something, it's still leather.
Right.
How can you make something that expensive? So I went off on a tangent about that because it's the consumerism in the world today is just getting crazy because they're not paying for that material and all that. It's the name.
Yeah.
It's because other people will buy it and respect the brand.
That's a status thing.
That it gets to go there. I just $48,000?
I'd never pay over $2,000 for a pair of sandals. Tops.
I never pay over $200
for anything.
No.
No, I know. I was totally joking about $2,000. Sandals? They're not even full shoes.
No.
I'm not paying $48,000 anything less than a full wingtip.
I do like a good boot. I like a good like Chukka boot or something like that.
But I like Chukkas too.
I think my cutoff is $300.
Yeah, it's really silly.
And I only get stuff on sale. I only never buy something full price.
Now this is this is a little bit trickier for males like you and I are, but I like thrift shopping a lot. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of good thrift shops around Grand Rapids. I don't know if it's because there just is. Yeah. And but men's stuff at thrift shops tends to be like really worn out. You know what I
Or-
mean? Like guys wear shit forever. They don't like
Yeah.
girls. You can get stuff in the women's section that has like tags on it still.
But isn't that the purpose of the thrift shop though? Don't you want the worn in?
In some cases, yeah, but Jessica will find like, dude, we find like $800 pairs of jeans sometimes, like at random thrift shops for $3.
Wow.
And so like she'll sell them on Poshmark or whatever, and you know, which is kind of like an eBay for clothes or whatever.
Wow.
But when guy stuff, you rarely find anything like that.
I just wouldn't be able to find anything that fits me.
It's
My
harder.
my shoe size is a 13.
Me too.
How could you fit?
You know what? Don't go thrift shopping because we're going to be competing for all the 13s. Don't go. You're
Exactly.
going to hate it. Definitely don't do it.
I don't, dude. I couldn't tell you the last time I bought clothes, man. I haven't bought clothes in so long.
That's a problem with staying kind of consistently fit like you have. You don't really change size. I have to like constantly get like smaller clothes and bigger clothes, and then
Well,
you're just always the same.
Well, I worked at Banana Republic when I first started working at the court, and I did it part time just to get clothes, and because you get 50% off.
Yeah, that's a good
Started
deal.
working there, so the whole time I was working there for like the year or whatever, I didn't make any money because all my money went to clothes.
But you're still rocking that wardrobe?
I'm still, because the stuff lasts forever.
Yeah, it is.
So-
That's one of the. They have like for guys that are 6'3",
Yeah, this is
6'4".
Banana.
Like they have a good length of arms and shit. Like it actually fits me. It's
it
one of the
fits
few
me,
stores.
And I know the exact size. So like, I'm the type of person, I do like quality things, but once I get something that's quality, I'm gonna be one of those people that's gonna wear it out.
Yeah. How long would you have to wear future sandals, Birkin sandals, before you would think that you got your value out of them? You'd have to wear them for every day, forever.
Man, I ain't gonna lie, I probably walk to California in those things, man. $48,000, dude. That is a BMW truck. I could never put them on. Even if somebody gifted it to me, I could never put them on.
No, you'd be like, I'm not putting my stinky foot in that thing.
How much?
What kind of shoes did you when you had team shoes at Kuiper probably?
I want to say we had like the Nike like Hyper Dunks.
You still rock those?
Like playing ball or just?
Do you still play ball?
I still play ball. I'm more rocking the Kyrie Irvings and stuff right now. But the shoes that I've had for like 2 years. The basketball shoes.
Well, you haven't been playing them. There's been a pandemic.
Yeah, but I only wear like my basketball shoes. I only wear them inside.
Yeah, true.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And like so, I used to play in Gus Macker tournaments, the 3-on-3s outside. I haven't been doing that recently.
Did you ever you used to go to the Luddington one, right?
Yeah,
That was a fun event,
That one was
though,
super
dude.
fun, but that'll scuff the crap out of your shoes.
Oh, not to mention the fights that'll break out and shit.
Dude,
too.
that got really bad, so that's why I stopped going to that one. So now I only play in like the ones that like are around here.
Yeah.
But that is a good time.
They are fun though.
Yeah, they're fun. I got like a lot of friends that do it, so it's just like a social thing to get to be able to catch up with friends, and then you also get to do a couple of up and unders and pump fakes. And,
Just
you
get
know,
people flying
I got
over.
an old man game.
Well, you'd have to be 6'5" playing center in
So,
college.
like,
You have to
people
be
would-
sneaky.
People would be like dunking. I'll be like, not today. I'm up and
Up and
under
unders all day.
everything. Yeah, like my game is in college. It was a Division III college level Tim Duncan.
Oh, the big fundamental.
Yeah, that's what they call me.
That's
Like,
the
I
coolest nickname
literally
ever.
did all kinds of pump fakes and up and unders and stuff.
I appreciate that. That's a game that translates deep into your 60s as well. Like, you can keep that game.
Go Spurs, go.
So I have a question for you. What is Karat Juice, and kind of how did that all come about?
So I remember when I was in college, growing up, and first discovering audiobooks when I was working on the summers as a landscaper. And if you haven't done landscape in Michigan in August, it is super hot, super humid. So I'd be literally like digging holes, trenches, doing all types of different landscape, like hard labor.
Hard
But
labor,
I
yeah.
loved it.
Yeah.
It was great. It was something about going to a place and seeing it one way, and then seeing dirt and dust, and then when you leave, it's all beautiful and pretty with like mulch beds and plants and everything.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that work. But while I was doing that, I would listen to audiobooks. It started with audiobooks.
What was your first book?
My first book that I really got into and I listened to was actually a Stephen King audiobook. It was It.
Oh, spooky.
I love scary stuff. But have you
Who
seen the
reads
movie?
that one? Oh yeah. I've seen the second one too.
And what was that you just asked?
Who reads that one? Do you know? Is it Stephen King?
No. I want to say it's like Grover Gardner.
Oh, I thought you were
The
gonna say Gilbert Godfrey for a second there.
No, Grover Gardner, he does a lot of the horror stuff and stuff, but he has like a really he's really good at doing the inflections of the different,
Yeah.
characters and stuff.
Right.
But this is like a 52-hour audiobook.
That's a whole week.
That's literally why I did it. It's a whole week of work because like most of the time, the person that I'm working with, they're operating heavy machinery and stuff, and then I'm doing all the other stuff. So I'm by myself a lot, getting it in.
Right.
So I started listening to that audiobook, and I just fell in love with, the story. Like the story was so well done, so well produced that eventually it was like I was hearing a movie.
Right.
Like
you were imagining it and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. I literally left like my body and where I was at, and I was in the story.
Yeah.
So that's like where my love of audio just like eventually came from.
Right.
And
did you know it at the time that that's what was happening, or were you just thinking this is an enjoyable thing?
I just know that like there's something about being in somebody's head literally and getting that story. It's the most like one of the most intimate forms of media that you can have, because if somebody's willing to take the time to listen to you and to go about their day and to really like sit there with you, you can really have a story. A story takes hold way better in audio form.
Yeah.
If somebody's willing to get there.
I agree.
Like it's kind of hard to explain.
I agree, because it's like it forces you to use your own imagination to some, so you're participating in it more.
Absolutely.
Whereas if you're watching in something like, even I kind of like sometimes putting the captions on, a lot of times putting the captions on the TV, particularly because like when I read it, then I kind of it gets me into more of a reading vibe where I'm picturing it more instead of just letting the movie do the work or whatever.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
Do you think like, well, first off, was it highly produced, like from a sound design perspective? Was there like sound effects and stuff in it and all of that, or was it just being read? Do you remember?
It was just being read.
And that's pretty wild. You can go there just with that.
There was no sound effects and stuff, because I felt like the sound effects and stuff would have took away from it, honestly.
Yeah.
With that, because my mind had the sound effects and everything going.
Yeah.
And to piggyback also on the reason why I fell in love with the audio, I love that I'm a multitasker. So I love that I could be working, doing what I want to do.
And read.
Just listen. It's not something I got to pay attention to.
Right.
Because I've tried reading, and I do read from time to time, and I've read some really good books over the time. But who has the time to sit on a, coffee chair and read? When I would put on an audiobook, I could just go about like, cleaning or, just going about my day, doing what I do. And that's where the love of that developed. And then I always said when I was growing up that eventually I want to write a book. So the Karat Juice was actually going to be the name of my first book.
It still can be.
Yeah, and it can be, but I'm kind of treating it like a book.
Yeah.
That's the pages are being, produced one episode at a time.
I love it,
with
man.
my thoughts. And why is it called Karat Juice? The first time when I first came up with that, it was Carrot, Carrot. And I thought about that because I didn't want my book title to be a book title that was like The Magnificent Life of, Harley Quinn or whatever. You know exactly what it is.
Right.
I wanted it to be like, Karat
Mystery.
Juice, what's that about?
Yeah.
And it'd be completely something different than what it is. So that's like where it started.
Yeah.
But now, fast forward to the podcast, the main thing that I want to get accomplished with this is just getting my thoughts out there, outlet to be able to, talk about whatever I want to talk about, real and authentically. And eventually, when I have kids, I don't have any kids now, but eventually when I have kids, I think it's going to be really cool. And I always thought that I don't want to leave this world and not leave anything behind. And for sure, a book is something that will always be there. So that's kind of like the thing behind it. Like this podcast, my podcast, it's kind of sweet to think that you're doing something that's going to always be there. So when I think about it, I think about being able to share this with my kids when they're
That's cool.
able to hear it, to be like, this is what your dad thought about this topic. And it's real.
You ever think about all the shit that like, I think that you and I are on the right side of most of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But there is undoubtedly, without a doubt, some positions that we're going to take on our own individual podcast that will be like looked down upon in 100 years. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but even if they are,
I don't care about it.
yeah,
I think it's cool.
But this is the thing. Even if there are, and your thoughts can change. Like, it's literally every one of these podcasts, and the way I'm looking at it with my podcast as well, you're taking a snapshot of where you are, where Montay is at that moment in time.
Right.
and what I thought, and eventually I'm gonna evolve with life experience and everything. You're gonna change, but it's a moment in time of this is where I was at this moment. Of course, you're not gonna think that same way, or you might.
Right.
But at least you got documentation of this is where I was at this moment. And what's more intimate? What's something that's more cool than being able to give something like that to your future generations to say, this is what I thought about these things.
I know, that's cool. That's really cool.
So and it's not fake or anything like that or watered down. It could just be raw for them. So when I think about it like that. I'm talking to future generations about how I feel about the world and things like that. And hopefully they get some value out of it. If one person gets value out of it, then I'm happy.
Well, folks, go listen to Karat Juice and also go write a review on Apple hold on. Don't write a review for Karat Juice until you've written a review for this show. Yeah. Okay, I've got about 71 reviews. I have 150, 200 people listening each time, so there's a disconnect, okay?
Absolutely.
Once you do that, though, go also write a review for Karat Juice, too. But, yeah.
Yeah. So, also, one thing I've realized with Karat Juice and just with podcasting in general, I feel like far too often in today's day and age, we just don't have enough conversations like this.
Right.
And I was born in 88, so I'm from a generation like right before everything hit the fan.
Yeah.
So like I remember having to call like a girl that I like. I remember having to call her
her dad might answer.
Calling the house and then her mom answers and stuff. Is like, is so home?
Or just hanging out for a quick.
I remember that. And then I remember, like the onset of MySpace and Facebook and all that. And then smartphones and everything where we're at now. I still believe that there's something about the one-on-one being able to talk to somebody in person, which is starting to get lost in today's day and age, unfortunately.
And even accelerated fashion now that the pandemic and stuff. That's like accelerated.
Absolutely. Some people they have, and I like texting. It's convenient, but I'm not a big texter. Like my girlfriend gets on me all the time. She say, "You don't text me enough," and all this stuff like that. But it's just like, I would rather call you, have a conversation.
Right.
Because in today's day and age, I feel like so many people, they're just having their entire, dating conversation and everything via text. So being able to use my voice and to speak to people and to engage in conversation, because eventually I want the conversation to not just be one-sided. So I'm going to add things in there for sure in my content that's interactive in any way I can, because at the end of the day, I'm a people person. I want to connect with people and talk to people.
Right, of course.
Absolutely.
So I'm noticing kind of a pattern. Maybe this is off air, but you talked about how your Karat Juice, your main thing right now is you want to make sure you're consistent. Mm-hmm. So can you preach a little bit about why is consistency important? Because it's also your sustainable fitness motto as well. Mm-hmm. None of this stuff for you is really like, you're going to do it for a while and be done. It's all kind of like a steady, sustainable thing.
Absolutely.
Does that really like shape, or is that being shaped by your worldview or by lessons you learned as a kid, or how did you get that? That's an important thing, that you're disciplined ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're a disciplined person, and I struggle with everyone struggles with discipline, so people can learn from you. How do you maintain your discipline?
When we were talking a bit off air, what I was mainly talking about is like anything that you start, for sure, you can't just look for gratification right away and think that that's going to be the end all be all. When you first start with anything, there's going to be trial and error. You're going to figure out what works, what doesn't, like I have already. But I feel like with anything that you do, especially if you have a passion about it, the consistency is what's going to hold true over time, because you made up in your mind. I made up in my mind that I'm going to do this and I'm going to see it through, because that's setting an example for future generations, people who look up to you. Mm-hmm. And if you just want to do something, like I'm never going to be somebody that's just going to quit something that I want to do because I'm not getting the result that I want right away. Delayed gratification, because then when you eventually get to where you want to be, you'll be ready for it. I think right now, because I'm just starting out with this, the messages that I need to formulate and how I need to put it together the perfect way, it's not meant to hit those ears that it's going to hit a year and a half, 2 years from now.
I'm with you 100%.
If somebody that really needed to hear the message that I need to, that's in me to get out, needs to hear it, I don't think it needs to hit that person's ear until like a year and a half from now when I'm sharpened, like
Yeah.
the sword has been, finely tuned.
Yeah.
So I think with that repetition, I'm only going to get better as a speaker on how to formulate my thoughts and make it concise and clear. All of that is tied to that consistency piece. And then the way it shapes my worldview, literally just...
Well, did it shape your worldview, or did your worldview get shaped by that? Like, what came first, I guess? Like, have you always been a guy that, like, focused on consistency?
I guess I've always been somebody that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to try to do it to the best of my ability, no matter what, even if I fail. Like, I don't fear failure. I fear not trying. Because I feel like so often people, myself included, so often when I was younger, I would say, I'm going to do this. And then I'll put it off. But like, when you say you're going to do something, just get it started, get the ball rolling, and then don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
I feel like in today's culture, in today's society, so many people get, what's the best word? Trapped by indecision and
like paralyzed.
over-analysis on, is this going to sound the right way? Is this going to be the right way? Is this going to do no, just start talking.
This is what I like to tell people in the same, dude, you and I are exactly to get lockstep on this. It's like, you're not ready now.
Yeah.
I'm not ready now either. I'm a lot more ready than I was a year ago when I started this.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to be a lot more ready in a year from now. Whenever I look back and listen to my old stuff, I'm like, oh man, I should have done this better. But that's part of it.
Exactly.
And by the way, you don't really know where your limit is until you fail. Like if you just walk through life, and no one has this experience, but if someone just walks through life and never meets failure, then they really don't know what it takes really to win. Mm-hmm. They know in those cases they did more than they had to win, but that doesn't really teach you where your limit really is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like you lost. Were you guys successful at Kuiper, or did you get,
Oh, dude, my freshman year, we were really bad.
That's the thing. Like, that was probably your first experience being on a really bad team, probably, right?
I didn't even tell you this. In high school, I played JV as a junior because my first 2 years, freshman and sophomore in high school, I didn't try out. I just played with my friends. Junior year, I tried out. I made JV. And then my senior year, I tried out, and I got cut for my high school team.
Holy shit, you're like MJ.
In a way.
So did you like start getting more serious in the weight room after that or something, or what happened?
I just had a huge chip on my shoulder after getting cut my senior year, and I think that's one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life because it forced me to work and not feel like anything gets handed over to me.
That's the failure right there.
I had this huge chip on my shoulder playing in college, and my first 2 years I got beat. Like, we got beat up. I was a skinny, scrawny kid at that time, but then I got in the weight room every year, and I continually work on my game and got better, and I always had that chip on my shoulder that I got cut, and it literally propelled me forward. So by my senior year, we were actually really good. We were number one in the nation in our division.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the year, and I actually was an All-American my senior year in college.
Dude, that's a great that's like, well, that's awesome, but it's like encapsulates exactly what we were just talking about. Like the failure, it's not, first off, it wasn't a failure that you got cut. It just is what it was. But if not for that, you wouldn't have pushed yourself like that.
I wouldn't have at all. And I'm thankful for those experiences because they have shaped me into the person that I am right now. And a person like, I love media, like I said, and podcasts and everything. I really follow somebody named Charlemagne.
Oh, I know Charlemagne the God. Yeah, of course.
One of the things that he says all the time that I always think of in my head is, you're never as great as they say you are, and you're never as bad as they say you are. You're somewhere in the middle. So I try to keep that in my mind to stay level-headed.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't think too highly of himself, and he's doing big things, and he's always somebody that, is listening to others and learning and growth. So with that type of mindset, that's kind of like how I'm moving through the world now, is I'm always trying to learn and get better, and they're never as good as you say you are. They're never as bad as you say you are. You're somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, that's a great mindset, man. A great attitude. It kind of feels like that's the issue now that's happening in the media and stuff, is everyone's got to jump to like the pole side of it, like the far left or far right, not even political, but like no one's really trying to remember like that person's not the worst person to ever live, and they're not the best.
No,
We're all kind of in the middle. We're all fucking.
There's nuance in the middle for the reasons why people do and say what they do. So I always like to prod and ask questions in any situation like that. Like, what happened here? What did the person say? You know what I mean? There's always more to it. It's never cut and dry.
Never.
Ever with anything in life.
No. It's like you talked about earlier in your probate work or your probation work where you talked about someone reacts to you all snippy. You're aware at that point that it's okay, something probably far worse than what I just said happened to them. That's where that's coming from.
It's not me. I don't know you.
Right.
I don't know you. It's not me that you're angry at. There's obviously something that happened, and it's not on me to react with anger, because so often in those situations, people react with anger and it escalates the situation.
Yeah, then all you're fighting about is the stuff that you said after you were mad, nothing even to do with the core issue.
Tension in the room and all that stuff that doesn't need to be there. Instead, if you actually listen, I try to listen to people and hear them and like really actually actively listen and figure out what this person is trying to convey to me, and I take my emotions out of it. It's nothing personal or anything like that. And then I try to respond there with goal in mind being, how can we, add value to this person?
Yeah, find a
help them
solution.
to become a better version of themselves.
Yeah.
If you look at it like that, you don't look at it with your ego and your feelings, you will be successful in your interaction with that person, no matter what, even if it's a tense situation. Because personally, people always ask me like, dude, why don't you ever seem like you're angry? Why don't you ever seem like things rattle you? Because I look at it through that lens. I can just take things in and not have my ego involved. And it helps me to be a way better, communicator with people in those tense situations. I feel like I thrive in those tense situations.
But do you ever lose it? Like in your person, maybe not in your professional world, but like in your personal life, is it ever harder to, so you just have that natural disposition? Or
I've always had that natural disposition. Sometimes it makes people angry.
Yeah, when you're not upset.
When I'm not upset and when I'm not showing that much emotion.
Yeah, come on, are you with us or what the fuck?
Yeah, because it's just like I'm looking at it through that lens. So I've gotten some pushback a bit because of that, because it's just like, hey, like, why don't you ever get, you know what I mean? But
aren't there enough hot takes out there, guys? Let Montay stay even keeled. We need that. We need more of that.
Exactly. Like I'll save it for the hot takes, but like I think having that kind of perspective when it comes to things that are coming at me, and also the profession that I'm in, always hearing wild stuff.
Yeah, shit can escalate quickly.
It helps you to be level-headed and be like, man, gratitude. Like I live. That's one of the things that I live by in my life. Like gratitude for where I'm at in life, the things that I have, shelter, food, friends, family. Like if you walk through life with that kind of mindset and perspective, like I'm grateful for where I am, like really am, then everything else that you get beyond that is a bonus.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I'm not gonna, you mad at me? Like, I don't know if you heard that Drake song. Well, it's an intro at the beginning of one of Drake's songs where somebody's saying, right, like at the beginning of the song, they're saying, you mad? You big mad.
No! You mad. Look at you. You mad. You big mad. I'm happy. Leave me alone.
I don't want to argue with you. Like,
I'll put a sample of that in there.
People know what I'm talking about, but that mentality is cool. Like, I don't got time to be arguing with you, I'm living my life, and I'm grateful for the things that I have.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good mentality to have, just moving forward through life.
Dude, I mean, people watching, listening, be more like Montay. For real though, I mean, I appreciate you coming on, but I appreciate your disposition, dude. You've always been a cool guy that I've been looking forward to having you sit down. I'm glad you're starting your own. You've been doing your own creative stuff, but I'm also glad that you're adding the podcast to your repertoire. I really appreciate the journey part of, or the journaling part of it. You're kind of journaling.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing too. On my Tuesday one. So I never really was able to. I've never really been asked about it, I suppose, but like I concur with a lot of the reasons that you're doing it too.
Yeah, I'm surprised nobody asked you.
Well, I have an interview coming up for this show where one of my early guests is going to interview me
Oh, that's sweet.
on my show. So like, I'm sure that stuff will come up on
You
that.
think that's gonna feel awkward because
Definitely.
you're always on this end.
Definitely.
You like I could tell you like how I talked about from starting to finishing. I bet you feel way more comfortable interviewing.
Oh my
people
God.
Now and like you ask great questions.
My interviewing, you know what I appreciate that, but the bigger thing is I do a lot more nonverbal. This that's a skill that you'll pick up too.
Mm-hmm.
But this kind of stuff, oh yeah,
It helps.
It sucks though. It's good for you. It's good for the person talking because I'm giving you feedback that I'm listening.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're trying to edit and you're trying to cut yourself out, going,
So now you're trying to.
So now I just give you more like,
Yeah, but I need that. I'm like a comedian.
oh yeah, you need that. Everyone needs it. I think active listening is a huge thing. You're good at it. I think ultimately you're gonna have a successful interviewing show if you want.
Awesome.
Because I think people are gonna be comfortable with you, and you talk all day with your defendants. Right, I mean, so you know how to like get through icy people that are kind of perhaps not really wanting to open up to you so much.
Sometimes you get people who talk too much.
Of course,
I'm a master of cutting people off. Hold on, what? Hold on, where are we going?
Don't incriminate yourself.
All right. I'm just like, hey, where are we going? Oh, okay. I'm asking about this. All right. I want to know where you're living here. Cool. Boom, boom, boom. Somebody will tell you the whole life story. I'm just like, I cut people off. I'm a master of cutting people. I'm just like, okay. All right, we're going here. I try to do it in a respectful way.
Yeah.
But you got to be the master of cutting people off.
Oh, Jessica, my wife's like that with some of her clients. Like to her, you're a counselor to these people. She's a counselor to these people, and they start talking about everything, and she constantly has to snap them back.
Like, I just asked about your address.
Yeah, you're paying me
I
hourly.
didn't need to know like everything else and like what you have for breakfast and stuff. It'll go there.
Yeah,
So it's like,
I agree that windmills are the best way to sustain future power, but that has nothing to do with your case. Can we get back on it?
Yeah, let's get to the business. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Dude, I appreciate you coming on, man. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Something I'll leave you with.
Yeah.
Is you are responsible for everything that you have going on in your life. Don't be a victim. Be a victor in all the things that you can control. I feel like far too often in these day and times, people are looking left, right, up, and down on why they are in a particular situation. Have a victor mentality rather than a victim mentality. And I feel like you will go far because at the end of the day, you're in control of your life.
Amen. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, brother. It's been great.
Hell yeah, dude. That was awesome. That's a good way to end her too, man. Hell yeah. That's it.
I feel kind of fly standing next to you. Baby girl, how do I look in my do-rag? Would you tell me the truth? Stay with me and love me through the night. Endlessly, I'ma keep on my chains when I'm making love to you. Hold me close and let me squeeze you tight through the night. But baby girl, how do I look in my do-rag? Would you tell me the truth? Do you like my new whip? Watch me go zoom, zoom. Baby girl, how do I look in my do-rag? Would you lie to choose? Stay with me and love me through the night. Endlessly, I just wanna know how you feel. Tell me, am I doing it right? I tie my tongue right in the front, baby. I let my cape fly up to the floor. See, the one who straight fly up in the blue. You know, I've been doing this for some time.
No cap, I let the K fly. Look like the magic carpet or some Latin drapes. Your opinion don't make my European tour date stop. So baby, won't you make my day and tell me a straight lie? Tell me this the best you ever do, rag. The suede, it's the knot in the front. I made that kitty smoke, her mom say, not in the front.
You know better than to be smoking in front of my house. Take that to the backyard. I don't say nothing.
Sorry, mama, but your daughter the one. We just finished round 6. We started at 1. We harmonize when we bust. The art of the gun. I lay it down like my edges in the womb of my scarf. I got the blue and like Belly Road, the Keisha and Spark.
I tie my tongue right in the front. I let my cape fly up to the floor.
Okay, Smeeze Walker at your scalp. We've all that fake bullshit out. Told them corns to roll on out. Say this here your daddy house. Condom sex original. I got so many protective styles. Twist and turns, we gon' gel so natural.
See, baby, I know
You think I'm handsome?
Martin Luther Silk, come through putting balls on your scalp. Don't need no head and shoulders, I got juice to get flaking out. The top your head, girl, we moisturize from this pointing out. I'm your man, can't you see that I've been doing shit? Be like Manny Fresh, BG, Bourbon, Turkey, Wayne's little children. Boy, hot, I got the highs for you, you hot tea, no limit. Hot tea got me hot and bothered when she pulled up with silk. Hot tea got me hot and bothered when she pulled up with silk. Tea tree oil rained upon your vessel, that's essential drip. She told me I never gave a fuck, so I bought Fendi Fist. And start diving head first into your head scarf, head honey. Like, hey, what that nigga Smee say earlier? Baby, I love you when you act up. Every time you see my head is wrapped up. Caught you in your bonnet, that's why I give you back shots. Just hope you don't backstab me if I should call for backup. I need some